Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. I'm here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's best auto service experience and 22-time winners. It still blows my mind. 22-time winners of best auto repair in Vancouver as voted by their customers. And we're talking cars. How you doing, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So a Volvo S80, a 2000 model, so a little bit of a older in the tooth kind of vehicle that had an electronic throttle that had to be replaced. What was going on with this vehicle?
Yeah, so the car came to our shop. The owner had said the vehicle wouldn't accelerate, basically the throttle. Well, at least that's what it felt like, the throttle wasn't moving. He'd actually taken it to another shop. They suggested that the electronic throttle module needed to be replaced. He wanted a second opinion, wanted us to look at it. So we did.
And so, okay, you had a look at it. What did you find?
So, of course, we basically proceeded to do some diagnostic tests. I'll just start with some pictures and then just explain the diagnosis. Of course, the first thing we would do is something like that is verify the concern. I started the vehicle. I looked at it myself, started the vehicle, and we got in the vehicle and verified the concern. It started and ran fine, but as soon as you accelerate, the engine would rev up at all. Hooked up a scan tool and found a nice variety of codes here. So these are the stored trouble codes in the vehicle computer, engine computer. 5 codes, and you see they're all basically electronic throttle module communications, internal faults. Right there, that pretty well tells you there's a problem with the unit, although there could be other things. And this is why we don't just go, let's just change the part. There's things to verify, like is the wiring good? Because a bad wiring connection or no power to the unit can cause all these things. So these were the codes we got initially. After looking at these codes, I cleared them, and this code restarted the engine. This code came back immediately, electronic throttle module communication fault. So proceeded to test the wiring, make sure it was good, and then verified the throttle module was in fact bad.
So what's involved in replacing the part?
Well, it's a basic bolt-in and bolt-out item, but there are a couple of issues with it. So here's a picture of the throttle module. It sits underneath the intake manifold. It's a little bit of a weird thing to access, and the wiring is kind of buried in under the engine. This is the wiring connector here. This is the throttle plate here. There's an electric motor and a number of sensors on each side of the throttle module. What's involved in replacing it, and it depends on where you buy the part. If you buy it directly from Volvo or perhaps some other sources, you actually have to reprogram the vehicle to the car. It's a bit of a pain. Volvo reprogramming is not quite as easy as a lot of other vehicles. I mean, if you have the factory Volvo, you get the Volvo dealership, it's easy. But in the aftermarket world, it's a bit more complex than a lot of other vehicles that we work on that we can easily reprogram. We found a supplier that rebuilds these units, really reasonable price, and they come pre-programmed. So they're just plug and play, which is just a really awesome option. So that's the throttle unit. What else have we got here? Just a little comical photo. This thing looks like a camera, so me holding the throttle unit. Just a little comical shot. It's really funny. It really does look like a camera. I don't know why. No other electronic throttles look like that. And there's a picture of our car, which is really nice shape. We'll talk about that a little more. But for a 2000 model year, this car looks like it just rolled out of the showroom. So kudos to the owner for taking good care of it.
So why do they use an electronic throttle? And I'm assuming that this was something that was fairly common in vehicles.
Yeah, it's very common nowadays. Actually, in 2000, this is actually one of the earlier cars that used electronic throttles. The reason they use them is there's a lot of things that can be controlled, like especially emission-wise, with throttle opening. And that's really, I think that's probably the main reason why they use an electronic throttle, is that they can close the throttle. And with electronic engine controls, the revving of the engine, it used to be the throttle would basically control the speed of the engine. But the speed of the engine can be controlled a number of different ways by varying the ignition timing, fuel injection time. There's all sorts of things that can be done with variable valve timing engine as well. You can adjust the valve time. There's a number of things that can be done that affect the engine speed. So what they found is, if they close the throttle at a certain time, it actually reduces the exhaust emissions enormously. So it's probably mostly there for that. And, again, this is what electronics allows, full controls over. Other things can control things that in a pure mechanical world couldn't be done. So I don't know if there's an engine you can buy nowadays, like a 2020 model car that doesn't have an electronic throttle. And as the 2000s progressed, more and more cars had them. So 2001 Suburban, it doesn't have one, but if you look at 2004, they have them. So they just start adding them, and it just makes sense. But it's a more expensive part to replace, especially on a car like this Volvo.
Is that because it's underneath the intake manifold?
Not really. And I say underneath, it's not, truly underneath. It's just mounted below the way the Volvo is mounted. It just makes it underneath. But sometimes I think of underneath, you got like a V8 with a throttle under. That can make it really tough. But it's not really that. It's actually the price of the part. And this part, I believe, I didn't actually price it all out myself, but I believe a new one from Volvo is like $2,000. We've had Jaguars with failed units like this. They're $3,000. We have a source that we can get them for much less money rebuilt, and they work really, really well. So I wouldn't spend the money on the new one. It's just a crazy amount of money. But yeah, a lot of import cars are very expensive. And for something like, I don't know, your average Ford sedan, there's a lot of aftermarket options available for those, and they're much less, in the $500-ish range is sort of the price I'm thinking of. But they do fail from time to time. Some cars will last pretty much forever. Other cars will fail a little more frequently. And this is a common failure part on this Volvo. They failed early and they extended the warranty on, I believe it was up to 10 years. I could be wrong on that, but this car's 10 years beyond 10 years old. So there's no warranty left on that.
So with the labor and the more expensive part, this is a medium to really expensive kind of repair then, possibly.
It is. It's not a cheap repair. But again, we've got a source for really good remanufactured units that are much less, substantially lower than the price of the dealership. So at least it's more reasonable. And you don't have extra cost and hassle too.
Of course. So how was S80 after you replaced the part and tuned everything up?
Yeah, it ran really nicely. And as you can see from the picture of the car, it's a beautiful car. It's really good shape. I don't think it even has 100,000 kilometers on it. So not driven much, obviously garage kept, and very nice car. Really good shape for a Volvo of that age.
If you're looking for service for your Volvo in Vancouver, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. You have to call and book ahead. They're always busy. They're always popular. They're always fixing stuff. Check out the website, pawlikautomotive.com, or the YouTube channel, Pawlik Auto Repair. There's hundreds, literally, not exaggerating, hundreds and hundreds of videos of all makes and models, all kinds of repairs. We've been doing this for 8 years already. There's a lot of stuff on there, so check it out. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast or watching. We really appreciate it. If you like it, leave us a review. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for watching.